One of the things where they confuse beginners for networking are MAC address and IP address. Because say two of them look like address together, abi? Both of them, they help devices they communicate, and both of them also sound technical. So sometimes some beginners even feel they wonder, say, which one be this one again? This one are address again. Or some of them, I don't hear person talk, say, does it mean that this address is homeless? So calm down. Your device no dey homeless. Now me and Mospikins the tech prophet, oh yeah, they with me. So you just get different type of identification for different types of communication you get. IP address is your device location on a network. I don't do videos. You go see the video around here. Maybe I'll just card them for you. Maybe you see so that you go understand that one. You need to go deep inside that one. Now, MAC address is your device identity. So MAC address is your device identity. Almost looking for layman language. IP address now where you they stay now. And MAC address now who you be. You see, it's very simple, abi. And now imagine say you be human being and your name na Joshua. That name so na your identity. But today you feel dey Lagos, right? Tomorrow you feel dey Abuja. Next tomorrow you feel even dey Sambisa. Who knows? So this thing just means say your location can change at any time, but it no change who you be. So Joshua fit dey Lagos today. If he dey US tomorrow, Joshua no deserve US. If he dey Ghana tomorrow. So you see the difference. MAC address now actually your device tag name. You understand? And then the IP address now the location of your device, which can be your house. And most of the time now the router sometimes they give them. So, but let's move past that. Your phone will connect to your Wi-Fi, then you go get one IP. Later, if you still connect to your office Wi-Fi, and then you go still get another IP, you dey see am. Or if you even be saying a hotspot, so as you they connect to different, should I say ISP or router or whatever, your IP address they change. You they see am. Exactly. But the MAC address, they usually tied to the network hardware of that device. You understand? It's like saying anywhere this device go, this is the identity. You see, anywhere where I go now, I know say I be tech prophet. I be? Exactly, that's what it be. But my location can change. That is IP address. And I know say some of Nana go drag come. All of Nana we no agree do content. But as I talk one thing, Nana go drag me. Talk say she be MAC address. Sometimes they randomize them. I been randomize them. They change them because of security. Yes, we are coming to that. So the truth now say your phone can actually rotate or hide MAC address on some devices or some locations so that they don't fit track you because of security. That one day. And that one are even modern technology. No be like that before. But for beginner understanding, now this one may you hold first. MAC address identifies the device interface. IP address identifies where the device is on the network. You see, so one na location, one na identity. I think it makes sense, Abi. So now what does MAC mean? That's the acronym, MAC. It just means Media Access Control, period. MAC, Media Access Control. May you no go the reason say na MacBook, oh. No be Apple. So if you see the way I don't do all this definition, I mean say even your Wi-Fi card fit get a own MAC address. You see, your Ethernet port fit get its own MAC address too. If your laptop get both Wi-Fi and internet, Ethernet, no be internet to Ethernet. Those two interfaces, so they fit get their own different MAC addresses. So you see because the MAC address is tied to the hardware, not to location. I know why they repeat them. So MAC address will look like this for screen. Look am. You don't see that kind of thing, Abi? Letters with numbers with columns combined together. Exactly. Now MAC address be that. And the IP address can look like this one. I don't show them many times, so let's move past that. So even visually, they don't even look the same. Because you know, say MAC address look like secret code for, well, we will see, you know what transformer be? For the transformer robot, that's their secret code. Now so it be. Then IP address looks like normal numbers. So if you say your MAC address now like your face, your fingerprint, you know, like your biometric, where identify only you. Exactly. IP address now your current room number. I don't know if you take emphasize this thing again. I think it don't sink into my head a bit. Because if you move from room 3 to room 7, your number don't change. But if you move from room Ajangbadi to room Shomolu, your identity did not change. Your biometric follow you, now you. Exactly. Now the difference with that. So now the most important thing now be say the reason for this content now I say how do they work together? When your device won't communicate for local network, now IP address they let and get who they send message to or who they receive message from. Or now when they used to sharing files over network and blah blah blah. If they use local send or Zenda, the way you go take no say now this person be this. It just be say those ones that they use name, but actually now IP address they under. Now, why if you send something from this to this, you understand? So IP address, they help you with transferring information based on different location address. You get the point? But inside the location network, the delivery of that message always need MAC address. When we say your laptop won't send data to your router, right? I hope say you know what to be router. If you don't know, now Google go help you. Your laptop, you know, say the IP address will be 1.2 from whatever, see for screen. But to deliver the message inside the local network, so it always needs the router MAC address. Your laptop go do something like go ask who get this so IP address. When you don't ask, they can't tell them, say, na me get them, go can't tell you, say, since now you get them, send me your MAC address. You see, so we use the location. Take know the identity. Just like if they want catch some of our boys, even our location, they'll fair cash. Before they'll come and say, I hear the boy day. You get the logic. Now the entire concept with that. That entire process, so they call them ARP, Address Resolution Protocol. You see, say it's simple. You know hard. ARP just be like, say you didn't say one company. They ask, who they room 1? Who they room 2? As they go need to open room 1 for you to see who they inside. Now so it be. The room 1 are the IP. Who they inside gone and be the MAC address. You see ARP. Sometimes you connect your laptop to Wi-Fi, right? And then the router go assign address, like I talked before, to your laptop. That router so go assign address to your laptop. That whole process is handled by DHCP. Or I must say the assignment is handled by DHCP. Waiting be who be DHCP now? DHCP now like your compound caretaker. Let's put it like that. Where they assign room number to everybody. You see, if you join network, DHCP go say, you take this IP address. Another one join, you go say, you take this IP address. You understand? And if you disconnect and come back later, you still get different IP address. Because if you assume say he don't know you, he go just give you new room number. You understand? But again, your MAC address helps the router to recognize your device. Now, why some router feel reserve specific IP for some MAC address? Because of course, now the MAC address, they take know the device. So they'll just store the MAC address. Say, okay, when they come, now this IP we go give them. Don't they think of dedicated IP, Abi? We'll get there. Now, like saying you just talk anytime where this laptop come, let me give them room 5. This is that they call DHCP reservation. It actually they're very useful for printers, CCTV, servers, many other devices, even Internet of Things devices. Now, cybersecurity people also care about MAC address because you know why? Some network they use what they call MAC filtering. What that one mean? I say only the people with approved MAC address should be able to join this network. You see, but make I just tell you for free, MAC filtering alone, no me say your thing they secure. Because MAC address can be spoofed. Yes, Google and me, you see what it mean. Or might just help you. Spoof means people can pretend to use another MAC address. So a person feel pretend saying na you by using your MAC address. If they say for film, we be say if they want to enter one vault, they'll carry the security we get access, they'll cut your hand. Maybe they don't kill hand away. They don't cut your hand. They just put that in your hand. They'll just get access. That's like spoofing, MAC spoofing. So if your whole security they dependent on I only do MAC address filtering until just forget now the answer you did never start. Because as I know for my videos, I've always said security is not one layer. But I think I'm overflogging this thing. So go meet expert for you, may they help your life. Now, why should software developers understand MAC address or MAC in general and IP? Because they help you understand quick where problem they come from depending on what you they build. If your app cannot reach a server, of course, first thing, check IP, Abi. If you see check DNS, if you check ports, if you check firewall or even routes. If you are dealing with local network identification, routers, DHCP reservation, even ARP, MAC address can actually matter, seriously. But for much web development, you touch IP address more than MAC address, right? Your API endpoint, now IP address you care about. Your server public address, now IP address. Your DNS, they point to IP address. You see, your firewall, they allow IPs and port. You see, I take important to web developers, abi? Your log self, if you do proper authentication, your log suppose they keep or they record IP. You see am? Anyways, I don't try for una. Bye.